I'm going to be straight with you. There are things in your kitchen that you use every day, thinking everything's fine, when in reality, they might be releasing substances that no one in their right mind would ever intentionally put into their family's food. And I'm not talking about ultra-processed food. I'm talking about utensils, pans, cutting boards, popcorn bags. I'm 35 years old. I grew up seeing a lot of things considered normal. And then, when you dig a little deeper, you find out that most of it was only normal because no one told the rest of the story. I'm the facilitator, and today I want to show you 10 common kitchen items that are absolutely worth reviewing, replacing, or at least using much more consciously. And let me say this right away, this isn't about throwing everything in the trash and spending a fortune tomorrow. It's about being aware, because when we know, we choose better. Let's start with the most obvious and at the same time, the most ignored. Artificial food coloring. You know that super pink yogurt, that brightly colored cereal, that candy that looks straight out of a cartoon? That color isn't there by magic. It's there because synthetic dyes were added, and many of those have been questioned for decades due to possible links with allergies, irritation, behavioral changes in children, and even an increased risk of certain cancers in older animal studies. Recently, one of these red dyes was banned in the United States, which raised some alarms, but the point here isn't to memorize dye names. The point is, the more artificial and colorful a food is, the higher the chance your body doesn't need what's in it. Simple swap. Instead of grabbing the most colorful product on the shelf, go for one that uses natural coloring, or none at all. And here's the first question for you to comment on. Do you usually read labels, or do you just go by habit? The second item I want to talk about is those black kitchen utensils, made of nylon or plastic that seem super practical. They became kind of popular after a study came out, saying that many had high levels of flame retardant chemicals, stuff added to make them less flammable. Later, that study had to be revised because of a calculation error, so no need to panic. But think about it. If we're not sure how safe it is to ingest any of that, and we know those utensils come into direct contact with hot food, oil, and fat, which help release particles, is it really worth the risk? Wouldn't it be smarter to slowly switch to stainless steel spoons, metal spatulas, or solid one-piece wooden utensils? It doesn't need to be fancy. You just need to know what it's made of. And since I mentioned wood, let's move to the third point. Wooden and bamboo utensils with questionable finishes. Wood by itself is great. It's natural, antibacterial, beautiful, and long-lasting. The problem comes when it's full of glue, coated with some unknown varnish, or that so-called eco-finish that doesn't really mean anything. Some glues and resins release formaldehyde, which definitely isn't something you want in your soup. So if you like wooden spoons, prioritize one-piece ones without glued parts or shiny paint. The simpler, the better. Sometimes that cheap, unfinished set is actually safer than the natural and sustainable utensil with fancy marketing. And here's another question to engage you. Have you noticed that almost none of those stores selling wooden utensils mention what kind of varnish or oil they use? Fourth item, plastic cutting boards. A lot of people use them because they think they're more hygienic. And sure, they can go in the dishwasher. They're lightweight, inexpensive. But here's something almost no one talks about. Every time you use a knife on it, you scratch the plastic and release tiny bits. Over time, that becomes microplastic, and microplastic is not something our bodies handle well. Some studies have even found it in baby placentas. So if we can reduce that, let's reduce it. A good wooden board, preferably made from hardwood, has an advantage. Besides not releasing plastic, it has the ability to absorb moisture, which actually helps kill surface bacteria. That's no excuse to skip proper washing, but it's a plus. If you love your plastic board, use it for specific things and replace it once it gets too scratched. Now, let's step into a delicate topic: non-stick pans and skillets. I know, they're convenient. Eggs don't stick. Pancakes come out perfect. But many of those pans use coatings that belong to a group of substances called forever chemicals because they take ages to break down in the environment and eventually end up in our bodies. When the pan is brand new, the risk is lower. But once it gets old, scratched or overheated, or someone uses a metal spoon on it, it can start releasing particles and gases. It's not the end of the world if you have one at home. I've had them too, but it's smart to start replacing them. High-quality stainless steel, well-seasoned cast iron, and true ceramic, not just ceramic coated, are better options. The tricky part is the cost. So here's the logic. You don't have to replace everything today. Start with the one that's in the worst shape. Replace the one you use every day first. Connected to that comes the sixth point that few people think about: appliances that also have those coatings inside. Take rice cookers, for example. They're super convenient, but inside they often have a non-stick pot. You use it, it gets scratched, maybe someone uses a metal spoon by accident. It starts flaking off. If you cook rice often, look for models with stainless steel inner pots, or just go traditional and cook it in a regular pan. Same thing with air fryers. They seem super healthy because they use little oil, but inside many are made of metal with a non-stick coating, and the outer part is all plastic. You heat that up every day. If you can, pick one that's all stainless steel or glass inside. If not, take good care of it. Don't use steel wool and replace it when it starts to peel. Seventh, overlooked item: regular parchment paper. It's a lifesaver in the kitchen, makes everything easier, keeps trays clean, but many brands use treatments with substances that repel fat and heat to keep it from breaking down in the oven. The issue is, those are the same chemical families we're trying to avoid in pans. Nowadays, you can find parchment paper without those treatments. It usually says chlorine-free, PFAS-free, sometimes even compostable. It's not much more expensive and solves the problem right away. Eighth item, microwave popcorn bags. This one hurts because it's tasty, fast, nostalgic, but the inside of the bag usually has a coating that resists hot fat and steam. And guess what they use for that? The same chemicals we're trying to reduce. And here, you're exposed twice. You breathe in the steam and eat the popcorn. The alternative is old school, but works perfectly. A pot, oil, and corn kernels. You can even add a bit of sugar to get close to those sweet versions. It's not identical, but it's much cleaner. Ninth item, and maybe the most sentimental: old dishes and dinnerware, especially those with colored borders or designs made before strict regulations on lead-in paints and glazes. Many people inherited sets from their mothers or grandmothers and still use them today. The issue is, if the paint contains lead and it's worn, scratched, or cracked, that lead can leach slowly into your food. Adults can handle it a bit better, but for kids, it's much riskier. I'm not saying to throw away a family heirloom, but you can use it only for serving cold food, display it as decoration, or even buy an online lead test kit to check if that specific dish leaches anything. 10th item, old plastics, stained containers, and utensils past their prime. A lot of people keep those butter tubs to reuse, or those transparent containers that turn yellowish, scratched, and smell like old food over time. They look harmless, but as plastics age, they lose stability and start releasing microfragments and chemicals, especially if you heat food in them, whether in the microwave or with hot contents. Substances like bisphenol are known to interfere with the human hormonal system and have already been reduced in many brands. But the issue is, their substitutes aren't always well tested. In short, the danger isn't just what was on the original label, it's what time does to that material. I want to know from you, among all these items, which one do you use the most, and which will be hardest to replace? The popcorn, the non-stick pan, the plastic board? Share in the comments. It helps others who are in the same phase. And if you've already replaced something and noticed a difference, share that too. This kind of change doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, The kitchen is the heart of the home, so it deserves our care for what comes in and for what touches our food.